I would love to give you a bit of a background story of what happened to me on my journey so that this doesn't happen to you. I dealt with a lot of I dealt with a lot of childhood trauma and abuse and you name it, I experienced it growing up. And so the first yoga class I went to in college, I signed up for the class. I saw what they were doing and I'm like, this is just not for me. I grew up in a Christian household, so yeah, I wasn't very open to certain practices. And then fast forward, I started meditating on the Deepak Chopra and Oprah meditation app, and it was great. So then I got into watching Sadhguru, and then I got into you know how the spiritual rabbit hole can be. So then I learned about meditation. I learned about meditation through YouTube, reading random books. Terrible idea. Listening to people on Instagram, and so I started meditating. I would either meditate on my own or I would use different apps to meditate. And I started having this like facade, of, yeah, I'm spiritual now. And yeah, these are bad vibes. I don't want to associate myself with these type of people. So essentially, I was putting on the facade of a spiritual person. But what was really happening, I was struggling with anger, lashing out on people. I would have serious tightness and anxiety in my chest. And that didn't really make any sense to me, y'all, because I was meditating all the time. Wouldn't my anxiety and my anger and my frustration and my discomfort in myself and in my body get better? No, it started getting worse, progressively worse. Like, and when I say anger, I'm talking yelling and throwing things and just deep seated anger and raging. So then fast forward, I end up watching an interesting video. At the time I was like heavily watching Sadhguru, and he said something interesting, which was, you a percentage of people, it was really high percentage, like 4% or 5% of the population of people who are admitted into psychiatric homes was because of practicing wrong yoga, wrong meditation. When you indulge in certain spiritual practices which you are not ready for, you will be in big trouble. You may not see it now, but in 1 to 2 years, you will see the negative impacts of your incorrect meditation. And I was like, oh my God. And I didn't know where to go to get the correct information. So I kind of like stopped meditating, or I would just do like my little 5 minutes here and there, because then it invoked this sense of like, wow, this is not something to play with. I better be careful. And I clearly see that what he's saying could be true. So fast forward, I traveled to India, and with my husband, I meet a teacher, Geshe-la Dorji. He's a translator of the Dalai Lama, well-studied monk. I'm talking brilliant and someone who is trustworthy. And he said something really interesting. No meditation is better than wrong meditation. And I was like, wait, I heard this before. This idea that like people think that meditation is a game. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna sit there. Just because you're sitting there with your eyes closed doesn't mean you're doing anything at all. It could mean that you're just damaging your mind. And once that damage is created, it's so difficult to undo. And I'm speaking from firsthand experience. So I'm sharing this video so maybe this can help someone who's like, whenever I used to be on Instagram, but I deleted my Instagram account, and I would see people say, yeah, I did my 1 hour meditation, or I did my 40-minute meditation. And I'm like, do you know that there are monks? And I know this because I often travel to India and learn from monks and speak to them. They have been practicing for decades and still cannot concentrate their mind for 10-15 minutes straight. How are we lay people in the Western world practicing meditation for 1 hour? You might be doing something, but surely it isn't meditation. There are different types of meditation, and in my experience, And from what I have learned and studied from great teachers, a really important foundation to have is a single pointed mind. The ability to keep your attention steady in one place without it jumping around. It's called shamatha, the technical name for it, or single pointed meditation. That I can focus on one point. When I want my mind to move, it moves. When I don't want my mind to move, it doesn't move. But if you're sitting in meditation for 1 hour or 30 minutes, and the whole time, which most likely it is, because our minds, Western minds, is just not tamed. It's a monkey mind. It takes a lot of work to get to that point. Then you're damaging your mind. And I'm not a master teacher or anything. I am just a practitioner who have had direct experience of practicing wrong meditation and getting in big trouble for it. So I hope that what I have shared and the practice that I will share that has helped me, like, y'all, wow, I can actually go through a difficult moment with someone I love or with a random person and not blow up. I was not able to do that when I was practicing the incorrect meditation. It was exaggerating the seeds that were already in my mind, because I didn't know how to redirect my mind to a single point. And so I'm finally at a point in my life where I'm like, I'm breathing. I'm not lashing out. I can have conversations with my husband about it's not perfect. I'm still working on it, but it's so much better that I can see when I interact with someone. That the other day I went into a shop, and the lady she just seemed to be having a bad day. And the first inclination that popped up in my mind, like, oh, this is supposed to be customer service. I'm a customer here. I should be treated well. And then I realized, like, do you notice that this person is also human and they might be having a bad day? Take a deep breath in, and maybe you can, like, inquire out of curiosity. So I asked her, like, oh, are you having a good day today or not so good day today? And she ended up sharing, like, yeah, actually I'm having a bad day. I have my cycle. I've been working all day. Then I have to work in the morning. And then in the end, we were, like, smiling together. I would never have been able to create that much distance between my mind and what I see happening. I would never be able to question, like, are you sure that this lady just objectively hates you and doesn't want you in her shop? I would run with that idea until my anger just erupted, and then suddenly I'm having an altercation with this woman. Life doesn't have to be that way. We can use the right practices of meditation. It will help us to create some distance and some separation between the emotions we experience and our ability to just observe. There can be some space between the emotions and thoughts that arise in our mind and how we respond. We can actually sit and observe and say, like, which thought do I choose to follow? Which is closer to the truth? What is really the reality right now? I know that things are not as they appear to be because maybe I'm not looking at this right. I was never able to have that level of introspection. It was always everyone else that was the problem. And through incorrect meditation, it exaggerated that everyone else was the problem, because now, oh, I'm meditating. Therefore, everyone else is the problem. But I realized that no, it's my mind that needs to be tamed. I need to figure out a way to stabilize my mind so that I can interact with the outside world in a calm way, so that I can choose my emotions rather than my emotions dragging me and taking me anywhere that it wants me to go. Anger arises, follow the anger and express it. Deep sadness arises, follow the sadness and express it. Judgment of someone else arises, follow the judgment and judge the person. Just because an emotion arises in my mind and my body doesn't mean that I have to follow it. And it's possible to not follow it by creating some distance, by strengthening the awareness, strengthening the mindfulness, strengthening the single pointed mind. Then I feel so feel happy, I feel peace, I feel that I'm capable of weathering any emotional storm that happens. Before, I was afraid of my own emotion because it was so strong. I would blow up at any little thing. Now it's like, it's all right. Anger comes. Anger doesn't need to be expressed. Anger can be observed. And the practice I'm going to share with you will, I'm there's nothing I've been more sure about. I'm 100% sure that this practice, and it's not because I made it up, this has been around long before my mama, my grandmother, her grandmother, her grandmother. This has been passed down from many generations, and I really hope that this practice helps you.